All right, folks, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the workshop, and welcome to another episode of Frequently Asked Questions, which is always a mouthful for me to say. But this week, we're going to talk about a question that I've been getting a lot lately, and actually is one that's popped up ever since I've been doing Hickory golf repair restoration videos. And that is, how do you remove the shaft from a driver or a Brassie or a spoon, basically any hickory shafted wood? If you've been a longtime follower of the channel, you'll know that I don't have any videos specifically about repairing or restoring woods, and that's because to me it's a level above what I've learned how to do and a bit intimidating. Most of the time when you're messing around with trying to repair a wood, it's a club that you want to play, because if you didn't want to play with it, there's no reason to do anything to it from a restoration perspective, in my opinion. You know, I look at it as if you're not going to play the club, then just leave it alone as is, because someone else might want it in the original condition that you have it and don't necessarily want to see you trying to do anything to make it look brand new. But if you want to play the club, there's a lot, it's a different category altogether, and I think it's important to make sure that the club is sound. And one of the ways to make sure that it's sound is to make sure that the connection between shaft and head is still strong. Especially if you get it and you can kind of see that it's a little weak and you can actually move the head a little bit, but you can't remove it by hand. All of those are instances where you're going to want to take the shaft out and then reset it with hide glue. There are, I've tried it a lot of different ways, let's say, to remove the shaft from a head, and all of them were wrong. And that's why I haven't done any videos about it, because I didn't have any good advice to share on the subject. And so like you, and like many of you, I've done research and message boards to see how people get the shaft off a head. And I came across a method called the steam in a bag method. And essentially what it is, and usually the description for it is pretty basic and straightforward, but you take the head that you want to remove the shaft from, you put it in an oven bag, you put it in boiling water, you wait a little while, and then when you come back and try to pull it apart, the glue should be loose enough for you to just pull the head straight off the shaft, which sounds pretty simple. Thing is, I haven't really seen any, I don't think there are any videos on YouTube of people actually doing this, and so you gotta have to take, somebody's word for it in a message board that it works. And you usually want to try it with a club you don't care about, because if it doesn't work and you break that club or it gets all wet, that's a problem. So before I go any further, I just want to say that if you're a hacker backer, which is to say you're a paid member of the channel, you've already seen me talk about this subject at length, in addition to everything else that I know about repairing and restoring woods, hickory shafted woods, which includes also retrofitting steel shafted woods with hickory shafts. All of that is in my latest Workshop Wednesday live stream, which is an exclusive feature for paid members of the channel. So I've done 2 of these live streams from the workshop now. The first one was about hosel pins, which was riveting conversation, no pun intended. That was everything I know about basically replacing hosel pins and making them flush to the head without marring the head, and all of that. So that was the first one. The second one was, like I just said, everything I know about repairing woods, and all of that is on the paid side of the channel. So if you want to take a deep dive into those topics and everything else that I'm planning on covering in these live workshop sessions, which I'm hopefully going to be able to do every other week. So it's going to be a lot more frequent. There are going to be a lot more frequent posts on the paid member side of the channel going forward. And I've started that with these live streams from the workshop. But anyway, consider becoming a Patreon member or YouTube channel member. Details for how to do that are in the description for this video. And I'm not going to give away a lot of the information in those, because the workshop session that I did with the woods was about an hour, and I think it was close to an hour and a half. So there's a lot of information in that. But for the purpose of this video and the purpose of these videos on the free side, I just want to give you kind of a primer on how you can do this and show you that this particular method does work. And also then show for the first time, if I'm not missing anything, the first time on YouTube someone has actually shown this process in a video so that you can do it yourself. So with that said, let's talk about the basics. You want to, say you've got, I think this is probably going to be more commonly done with a Brassie than a driver, though the driver is what I'm showing you in this video. The reason I say that is because if you're planning on playing a wood, I highly recommend you play a Brassie as opposed to a driver, unless you find that rare driver that's got great weight and also has, more than 10 degrees of loft. Even if you're a really good golfer, which sometimes people will approach me and say, I'm a good golfer, I can hit, a low lofted club. That's fine. You're welcome to do whatever you want. But I still recommend that if you're starting out with Hickory, that you should stick to using a Brassie off the tee, because it's just a more versatile wood. You're going to be able to hit it off the deck from the fairway a lot easier than you would, obviously, a driver. And generally speaking, the Brassies are going to have a loft of 10 degrees or more. And loft is certainly your friend when it comes to Hickory clubs or Hickory woods. So I think that a lot of people are going to be doing this with the Brassie. If you want to remove the shaft from a Brassie, the first step is to remove the sole plate and all the screws on the bottom. The reason you want to do that is because that bottom screw can often engage with the tip of the shaft as another connection point for the shaft. So just to make sure that's not going to be an issue when you try to pull everything apart, take the screws and the sole plate off the bottom of the bottom of the club. And the other practical reason for doing that is you're dealing with hot water. You're going to have metal and hot water, and you just want, as little metal as possible to interact with when you're trying to hold the head and pull it apart. That is the second thing I'll mention, though, is anytime you're messing around with hot water or hot lead, as what's going to happen when you've got a head sitting in hot water, you're going to have hot lead on that head. That's a mouthful, too. You go wear gloves. I wear leather gloves just to make sure I don't burn myself when I'm holding on to everything, and it's just good practice. But anyway, yeah, so you've taken the sole plate off. Then it's pretty, self-explanatory. I use oven bags. The other tip that I'll give you is that if you want to try to cut corners here and use a Ziploc bag, I found that it didn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because Ziploc bags don't have the heat tolerance to withstand the temperatures that metal, specifically the lead, can get to when it's sitting in the boiling water, and it'll burn a hole right through the bag, and the bag will let in water. I'm sure some people have used Ziploc bags without any issues. I just don't recommend it because there's a possibility that the bag could get a hole in it, and you don't want any water in the bag. You only want steam to build up in the bag, not actual liquid water. So what you want to use instead is oven bag. And oven bags are usually what people use to put a turkey in and roast it in the oven. They have a heat tolerance, or at least the ones that I found on Amazon specifically say they have a heat tolerance up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is just a few degrees less than boiling, but you're not really dealing with boiling water. It's close to boiling, and especially when you put the head in, you're hovering around 200 degrees. But I haven't had any issues with these oven bags. These were cheap. It was a 5-pack that I bought off of Amazon. And so far I've used them twice and they've been great. So those are the ones that I recommend, and the link for those is in the description as well. And then all you need to do is just make sure that there's enough water in your pot to go above, or have the water line above the area that you want to actually remove, or where the head is attached to the shaft. You want to make sure the water line is above that so the glue can get loosened up by the steam. So I use an 8-quart pot. I fill it about 3/4 of the way, so you got 6 quarts of water in it. That's probably more than I need, but it definitely makes sure that the water line is high enough. And then you just prop the club, stand it up in there, and walk away for, set a timer for 10 minutes, walk away. You come back, and what I like to do is, before I take the club out of the bag, I like to try to test to see if the head will come off the shaft, because if it doesn't, then you can just put it back in the water and walk away for another 5-10 minutes and try again. But wear your gloves, hold the head in one hand, the shaft in the other. Sometimes you might have to brace the head under your arm and just kind of pull like that. But the big thing is you want to pull. You don't want to twist. So you just pull, and if it doesn't come on the first couple tries, then it's not ready yet. Put it back in the water and then come back, like I said. But what should happen after just 10 minutes is the glue should be broken up enough to just pull the shaft right out of the head. And as you see, it's a very clean disconnection. There's no remnants of the shaft left inside of the head. Everything is ready now for you to obviously let that head cool first, but then you could put a different shaft in that pretty quick and be good to go. So that's it. I mean, it's a pretty simple process, but I haven't seen anyone on YouTube actually do it. So I figured I would show you that it works, and hopefully it works for you as easily as it did for me. And again, if you want to take a deep dive on this subject and a lot of the other subjects that I'm going to be covering in upcoming live streams, make sure you become a Hacker Backer and join through Patreon or YouTube channel membership. And with that, if you've got any other questions, anything else you want to learn about as far as Hickory golf clubs are concerned, drop the question down in the comments below or reach out to me by email at thehickoryhacker@gmail.com, and I might make those questions a topic for a future frequently asked question video. That'll do it for this time, folks. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.